morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told out of Oyster Radio, so today we need to take a look at what is going on with the One Piece card game. We've got a couple of new magazine promos that have been revealed in Japan, and we've got an official errata and a way to exchange it for the real one, which you honestly probably shouldn't do, and I'll explain that as well. Now, in terms of magazine promos, we have the V-Jump Boa Hancock. We saw that previously. We now have a proper nice look at it. But we're going to skip over that one for the second. We will circle back. But first, we got a brand new Nico Robin. Psycho Jump, which is the other magazine in Japan that tends to do promos on a fairly regular basis, is dropping us a new Nico Robin promo. And I, for one, I'm fairly happy about this. And Psycho Jump does do promos on a fairly regular basis. The most recent one was the Ace and Luffy, which came with the October issue of the magazine. So we kind of expect Psycho Jump to give us fairly regular One Piece TCG promos, and it's not disappointing us. We're getting ourselves a Nico Robin. Now, this promo is actually going to be included with the January issue of the magazine, and the January issue of the magazine is going to be releasing on the 22nd of November. So basically 2 weeks. That's literally it. You got to wait 2 weeks. And it is a black Nico Robin, and it is Straw Hat Pirates and Baroque Works, and obviously it fits with a new crocodile leader. We do see this on a very regular basis. When we have these magazine promos that come out in Japan, they tend to come out somewhere in the region of a new set, and they're generally linked specifically with a leader in the set. Now, for what it's worth, the reveal, which came not from the official One Piece TCG Twitter, but just the official One Piece Twitter, specifically mentioned from the new booster pack, the Seven Warlords of the Sea, it pairs perfectly with a black leader Crocodile. So they are specifically calling out, yo dudes, play this with Crocodile. What does Nico Robin do? Well, we've got 2 cost 1k, counter plus 1,000. We've got blocker. So if nothing else, it's a cheap blocker that is Baroque Works, so searchable with anything that searches that. But also, on KO, if you've got 7 or more cards in your trash, draw a card, and then trash a card from your hand. This is one of those classic ones where you're not gaining card advantage. You're not ending up with any more cards in your hand, but what you are doing is cycling quite nicely. You're seeing more cards. Okay. So how does this pair with Crocodile? Crocodile, remember, says that your opponent's characters cannot be removed from the field by your effects. Not relevant with this particular Nico Robin. But then we've got Activate Main once per turn. You may KO one of your Baroque Work characters, and then you give one of your opponent's characters -10 cost for the turn, and then trash the top 2 cards of your deck. This is how it pairs nicely with Crocodile. Because, firstly, Crocodile trashes cards from the deck, and Nico Robin needs 7 cards in the trash to work. But secondly, Nico Robin is a blocker with a really nice on-KO effect. So either you use it as a blocker, and then get the on-KO effect, or you use it as a thing that you KO using Crocodile's skill, in order to activate, this second skill, because you need to KO a Baroque Works character, and Nico Robin is, and then you get the on-KO effect. So it's either just a cheap blocker, or it's a way to fuel Crocodile's skill. Either way, it seems to fit in the deck pretty perfectly. It's in the next issue of Psycho Jump, which is going to be released in 2 weeks' time. But it is not the only magazine promo which is coming out, because 2 days before Psycho Jump comes out, we've got a new copy of V-Jump, and V-Jump is coming along with a Boa Hancock. Yay! If anybody's wondering, the most recent V-Jump promo was the Luffy, which also came around in the October issue of the magazine. Genuinely, if you like importing Japanese magazines like I do, the One Piece TCG is amazing, because both V-Jump and Psycho Jump pretty regularly have promo cards, and then there are other magazines that do come around occasionally, and frankly, I am a big fan. And that's just if you're into One Piece. If you're into other card games as well, you end up with shelves full of Japanese magazines and realizing you need to speed up your Japanese learning just a little bit. But then you occasionally read bits of the magazine and you realize you're better than you thought you were, and then you are happy. Now, it is worth noting that we saw a tease in the previous issue of V-Jump, and that yes, this Boa Hancock has come through with the artwork in the tease, like we expected. And I told you that, generally speaking, these magazine promos match up with an incoming leader or a just released leader, and that's the case here. The OP14 Boa Hancock is absolutely the goal here. And it does say on the website, this card also pairs perfectly with the new leader Boa Hancock, included in the booster pack, the 7 Heroes of the Blue Sea, which goes on sale Saturday, November the 22nd. So, yeah, no mucking about here. They know what they're doing. What does this Boa Hancock do? Well, what we've got here is 6 cost 7k, counter plus 1,000, and on play, give up to 1 Rested Dawn to your leader or one of your characters. Okay. And any character at all, any leader, if you're playing this in a yellow deck, you are good to go. So it's a pseudo 5 cost, because you get to attach a Rested Dawn. So in that regard, it's basically just a vanilla card. 5 cost 7k, counter plus 1,000 is classic vanilla. It's not really a 5 cost, but you get that 1 refunded to you, so it's as good as. But it's also got a trigger. And the trigger says that you can play a 5,000 power or lower yellow character with trigger from your hand. Has to be a yellow character, has to have trigger, and has to be 5,000 power or less. It's also from your hand, you have to have it in hand. Like this Boa Hancock comes out of your life, you've got to have an appropriate card in your hand to play straight away, or else it's not going to work. It's not ideal, but this is going to fire quite a bit, and this is a very nice skill. Because if we remind ourselves about the Boa Hancock leader and what that does, what we got from the Hancock leader is on your opponent's turn, when you play a character, draw a card. Which basically means when you use trigger. That's what we're talking about here. When something with trigger comes out, you get to draw a card, and it's not limited to once during your turn. It's kind of amazing. We've also got Dawn X1 once during your turn. If your original power, 5,000 power or more, Amazon Lily or Kuja Pirate's character is KO'd, you can make your opponent take the top card of their life into their hand. So the ideal situation here is that this Boa Hancock gets you a 5k yellow Kuja Pirates or Amazon Lily, and then when it's KO'd, you get to essentially, use Boa Hancock's skill. Love it. Absolutely love it. There is, I think, quite a lot to get excited about here. These look like pretty good magazine promos. We will get them in the West at some point. They'll probably end up being pre-release promos or tournament promos of some description. That's generally how we get them. But regardless, they're coming out in Japan in 2 weeks. And yes, I have both of these magazines on pre-order. I do have Psycho Jump on pre-order. I do have V-Jump on pre-order. What am I going to do? Miss a Japanese magazine promo? No, because that doesn't sound like me. There we go. Now, there is one other thing we need to talk about today, and that is the fact that the wanted poster, Portgas D has been printed with a whoopsie. It's been printed with the wrong text, ladies and gentlemen. That is not ideal. The way it's been printed is, on play, if your leader is multicolor, set up to 4 Dawn as active, and then you cannot play character cards with a base cost of 5 or more during this turn. And you might recognize that skill. That's what Luffy does. Luffy is on play if your leader is multicolor, set up to 4 of your Dawn cards active, and then you can't play character cards with a base cost of 5 or more this turn. Yeah, we have that. It's the Luffy. The problem is, this is the law. So if you're wondering, how could this possibly happen? How could they have made such a silly mistake? Yeah, Luffy is card 118 and Ace is card 119, and they've accidentally put the wrong skill on the wrong card and it went to the printers. Like, yeah, it seems like a pretty big mistake, but tell me you haven't done something equivalent to that at work. I refuse to believe that. I made a video on Star Wars Unlimited the other day where I somehow got Anakin and Obi-Wan confused, and I'm a massive Star Wars nerd. That was a really silly mistake. We've all done silly things like this. It's understandable what happened. Essentially, the cards are done on computer and somebody copied the wrong effect over. They copied the Luffy effect onto the lore. What it actually does is give up to 1 rested Don to your leader, and then you can return one of your opponent's characters of a cost of 5 or less to your hand, and then your opponent gets to play a 4 cost. And from everything that we can see, the regular lore, the alternate art lore, the manga lore, and the red manga lore have all been printed with the correct text. And for what it's worth, I'd always, when a new set goes onto the website, I always download the scans, and the scan of the wanted poster lore does have the wrong effect on. The scan that went up on the website does actually have the wrong effect on, and that is a bit awkward. But Bandai have come out, and they have apologised. So what can we do about this? Well, they've set up a thing whereby you can just go and exchange it. You can do it by post. You apply via the indicated form. It's on the website, on the official website. Ship the erroneous card with the required information. And exchange, you receive a new corrected card and 2 booster packs included as compensation for the shipping cost incurred. Now, couple of things to note here. Firstly, I'm giving props to Bandai. They've come out immediately on the release date and said, this is wrong, we made a mistake, here's how we're fixing it. Ship it to us, we'll replace it, and we'll also give you a couple of booster packs. Mistakes happen. Mistakes happen in every card game. If you've been around for a while like I have, you will know. If you haven't, you'll see this again in this and other card games. Mistakes happen, it's inevitable, things will go wrong. The other thing is, and this is purely advice from your old pal Wassy, you do not have to listen to me on this, alright? Don't exchange your card. That's my advice to you, ladies and gentlemen. If I end up pulling this card, and weirdly by the time you watch this, I'll have uploaded my opening, but by the time I record it, I haven't actually done the opening. If I pull the wanted poster lore, I am not exchanging it. I am keeping it. Because they've already said they plan to print a corrected version. And look, essentially what you're doing is you're trying to figure out which of the ones is going to be rarer. Depends how big a reprint they do of OP13. If they do a big reprint, then the error one is going to be rarer. If they don't do a big reprint, and not many people do the exchange, then the corrected version will actually be rarer. I'd rather have the error, honestly, but that's just me. So there we go. That's what you need to know. That's what's going on in the world of the One Piece TCG. And now it's over to you guys. Tell me what you think about all of this in the comment section. Go nuts! Be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at @TheWasi. That's where we talk about One Piece and a bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCGradio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts, join a Discord, and all kinds of fun things. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wassy Plays.